Hello, Aquarius. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. Apollo is right behind us, ready to receive the message of your month ahead. Let's get started here. So, as always, this is going to help you with sun, rising, and moon sign. And I like to begin with channeled messages which come through from dreams and meditation. So, in my dreams, I was shown an island, but as I meditated, I was really focusing on volcanoes, of volcanism. And so, ostensibly, we could kind of connect this to an island chain like Hawaii. So the volcano itself is a really potent and powerful symbol. I would connect it to Queen of Wands energy. It's creative, it's destructive. It also has something that kind of builds over time. So some of you are at this final point where it's time to let it go, right? And there's a lot of power and there's a lot of movement behind what you might have been working on or thinking about doing. Now it's just to sort of like let everything go and flow in the right direction. This can also represent heightened emotional intensity. And so for many of you, you may need a creative or emotional outlet in order to make sure that the pressure valve doesn't go so far and like a volcano, sort of like blows up. So we have Queen of Wands energy, but a potential like Ten of Swords energy if the stress isn't managed or maintained. The very last thing that comes through is just kind of the energy of Pele, the goddess of fire. She creates, she destroys, she can remake and remold things as well. So I think this month you have all of that at your disposal. All right, before we get started, let's give Apollo a little pat on the back and then we will shuffle the cards. Apollo makes everything better, doesn't he? All right. Just a quick note. I'm going to pull the Celtic Cross first. Then later in the reading, I'll go ahead and expand it. I'm doing a few changes this month. Just work with me. We'll see how it goes. All right. I always like to call in protection as we do this. So imagine that you're seated in a field of grass. And imagine that you're laying down on this grass. The sun is directly overhead. And you trace a circle around your body, sealing in that sunlight, feeling a sense of safety, security, and grounding. Let's call in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters and see what messages they want to share with us. All right, fasten your seatbelts. You have a really great catalyst this month, Aquarius. Merkaba, activation. We have a star tetrahedron here. It's representing transcendence, ascension, and the ability to rise up. That rising energy, of course, connected with what we were just talking about in the volcanoes. And so this month in particular, it's important to not sort of like second guess it when it feels like this is the moment. You don't want to push yourself down. You don't want to hold back. This is, again, a time to really go with the flow. There may be a decision or a calling to focus a little bit more on spiritual development. This is like one of the most spiritual symbols I could pick. But there's also an encouragement from Spirit to stay imaginative and look beyond the 3D. Like this is a three-dimensional symbol, but it's touching all directions and dimensions, as above, so below. So this is a time to bring dreams and visions into reality, not to focus so much on if it has been done before or if it's happening now, but if it can be done and when it will be done, focusing on that kind of energy so that you're not questioning what's possible. That's a great way to sort of stop something before it even starts. We have Judgment at the center, and I have the traditional card on the side. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Just about everything here is fantastic. You only have really like two tricky cards. I would say it's in hopes and fears because we have the devil and then possibly the moon energy here representing self. So there's a couple of things around fear or temptation, but everything else is flowing in a really nice direction. So let's talk about Judgment. In this particular deck, they show a phoenix, which I love. This means that if you have experienced loss, setbacks, or failure, that is just one chapter in your story. The next one is rising up and, overcoming those obstacles and surpassing your own expectations. We have forgiveness as a piece of this because sometimes we beat ourselves up and we think, if I'd only done this, why didn't I pay attention to that? I should have known. It doesn't matter where you're at right now. It's how you finish this race. So again, mistakes are just difficult lessons. If we reframe them that way, we are less judgmental towards ourselves. And that's why this month you really have a dual message here. Forgive yourself, be kind to yourself and others, release those harsh judgments, and answer the call. Rise up and think, you know what, I'm ready this time. We're going to do something different. We're going to do something better. Crossing that center card is 8 of Wands. This is going to be a busy month. It gives you a chance to collaborate and to communicate so that everything gets done. And even though you don't see it here, often we see this kind of illustrated as a community card. To get all of those wands in motion, or in this case, to get everything sort of fired up, you would need a lot of people working to make it happen. So don't feel like you have to do everything. Don't get lost in the shuffle. Really make sure that you're checking in with the people around you. Anything that you set into motion can stay in motion this month. So the sooner you get started, the better. And the sooner you get started, the easier it will be in the long run. So we see perpetual motion, a lot of busy energy, a lot of people kind of connecting around you. So make sure that you're staying grounded and focusing on where you can make the biggest impact. As we look at the deep past, we have the 10 of Wands, and I can see that a lot of you have been putting in the work. This card represents that you are almost at the finish line. What happens sometimes, and we can see it a little easier in this illustration, is that it can feel like it's a heavy burden. How am I going to make it? I'm tired. Take a break if you need to. Get some perspective if necessary. Delegate. As I was saying here, there's more than one person around you that can assist. Sometimes this is we can even see it here. You might have grabbed more than you can chew here, and it's important to say, you know what, could you help with this? That's going to help you manage your energy, see something to the finish line, and have more to give after that. There could also be some travel that is necessary. Again, that's a little easier to see in this illustration. And that can also be what creates fatigue. 1 or 2 days in a new location can be great, but if you're constantly going back and forth every week, every month, etc., you may have to raise your hand and say, you know what, I need a break. I can't keep doing this. So there's something around how sustainable this sort of habits are around work, and I think you want to look at that. Can I keep doing this forever? And if not, what do I need to do to pace myself? Because life is a long distance run. It's not a sprint, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of you. And that's where this card, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, factors in. Aces can be upright when you're either providing something to the world or maybe receiving something. When it's reversed, it's typically someone saying, wait a second, I need a little help here, or this isn't enough. This isn't what we talked about. You're pointing to a lack and you're asking for something more. And you have a good chance of getting it this month based on the cards that I see here. We have another ace here in the crowning position, and we see things moving in the right direction here. So the takeaway on this one is you never know until you ask. And sometimes you're your own best advocate. You have to say, I'm interested in this, or I'd like to talk to you, or if you're asking someone out, I'd like to go on a date. Whatever it is that you're looking for, just put it on the table. Because otherwise, you're hoping that someone is going to be listening or paying attention. But like I said, it's busy. And typically in this card, you see things just flying all in the air at once. So everybody's in their own swim lane. And you might have to tap someone on the shoulder and say, wait a second. Don't be afraid to do that. This is also about getting a firmer handle on your money, your schedule, and just your general resources. It looks like you're going to get there, by the way. We'll get to this in a second, but we do have 8 of Pentacles here. And we have this beautiful energy of safety in the treehouse. So I do think that you're going to get there, but there's a couple of things you have to do. In the crowning position, you got 2 cards, the first of which is the Queen of Swords reversed, and the second was the Ace of Cups reversed. Let's talk about the Queen of Swords. This represents Aquarius, Queen of Air. And if we look at the crown, we can actually see the pineal gland there. So one of the challenges for you this month is really being able to take an idea, a vision, and convey it to someone who may not sort of grasp what you're trying to communicate. So what I'm being shown is like the way we would show children how to learn the alphabet. You put the letter A, but you also have an apple there. It's the combination of visual and the actual sort of written word that is going to cement what it is that you want. So let's say you have someone that they're very practical, they're very pragmatic, not so imaginative, and they need to see that it can work before they can move forward with you. You can point to a real life example, say, hey, do you know this person? You remember that thing that they went through? That's how they did it. And they're like, really? And you can maybe bring them on board with that. You could have a prototype if this is something at school or at work. There may also be a way to illustrate it, sketch it out, or simply convey it in a way that is more on the level with them. So you have to meet them halfway, but I think using a second form of communication, visual, is going to be very helpful, because some people learn through hearing, some through writing or reading, and then others through seeing or interacting. So get to know your audience and keep it short and simple. That's the thing that the Queen of Swords does best. Now, one thing that happens when she's reversed is I basically like to remind people to take a pulse. So when you're talking to someone, double check and say, first of all, how are they doing? So how are you doing? And is now a good time? Is now a good time to talk? And if not, how about later? Or when can we make this happen? So you're giving them a chance to not be on the defensive. You're making sure that you know where they're coming from, if they're bringing any emotions into this communication, and that will help set you up for success. She gets to the point. She says yes. She says no. She says what she needs to, and she doesn't put too much extra drama in that. And we'll talk about that in a second, because too much emotion can also be off-putting. Before we move on to that, the last thing here is that this can just be about asking a question. Queen of Swords is not afraid to fight for what she cares about. She's not afraid to ask a tough question to someone. She'll get it out there, and by doing that, things can start to move quickly. So be inquisitive, be outspoken, keep it brief as well. Now, this could be you. This could be the people that you're working with. The Ace of Cups in reverse could simply be, hey, I need to get something off my chest. You're holding on to some energy. Someone else could be holding on to something. And there needs to be a way to put it out in a way that isn't going to be either like too much for the other person to digest, or, again, timing is everything. This could also just be a self-care nod from the universe saying, make sure that you're taking care of your emotional and mental health, and get to a place where you're feeling very grounded, very even, before engaging in any sort of difficult conversations. When these cards are upright, wow, the sky is the limit, because this is receptivity on both sides of the aisle, and this is the best communicator, or second to best. So this is your chance to really make a splash in communications, provided that you're not going in with heavy emotions, anger, frustration, sarcasm. We got to leave that at the door. What you want to bring is empathy, kindness, and enthusiasm. This is going to be like a magnet, and it will bring people forward. In the near future, we have the Eight of Pentacles. One thing that you can actually do here to help you with that Queen of Swords moment is to learn. This is an educational card. So you may be deciding to research on a topic, learn a new language, learn about someone, reading their biography before having the conversation. And then you're coming forth with this sense of preparation. And that gives people a chance to really sort of have faith in you. And they're like, well, you've done your work. I'll listen to what you have to say. It's kind of interesting how those 8 coins are moving in the wind. So one thing to remind yourself here is that, facts and information, it's constantly moving, and you have to keep up. So I do think that there is a gentle nudge as well this month to, even if you think you know everything, ask someone else, do a little bit of research, build up your knowledge, your store of knowledge. I think that, not the birdhouse, but the treehouse is really what that represents. And getting a bird's eye view as I'm looking at that. I knew there was a reason bird came to mind. That ladder here, some of you are also trying to climb the ladder in your career, in your accomplishments in life. One rung at a time. Each one has to be strong, and you need to be able to trust in the structure. So this is a great time to invest in yourself. Take it slowly, be strategic, and do your homework. That's basically what I'm getting there. All right, we have the Moon card in reverse representing your energy, your character this month. One thing that I love, if we look at this in the upright position, is that the wolf, the dog, and the human, they're all on the level. There is no conflict, they're not distracted, And we're going to look at the traditional card here and you'll see the difference. So in this one, they're howling at the moon. There's also a little lobster coming forth. Everything's going on in the foreground, but nobody's paying attention to the road leading to enlightenment. So in this deck, they've chosen to reimagine that. Everybody is standing at attention. Everybody's working together. And with the card in reverse, trust your instincts. If there's someone who's acting out of line, check with them first, but then make sure that it stops. So we're calling out any sort of behavior that is against the agreement that you made, is showing something like deception. And it's also just the universe saying, are you being accountable to your own goals, to your own promises? Because that's really what this represents. The reason that I'm kind of harping on being a person of integrity this month is the moon is connected to Eight of Swords and the Devil. So Eight of Swords can be trying to ignore something or hoping that something gets swept under the rug, but I love that we have a spider here. It all has a way of kind of like getting you tangled up in the future. So in the environment is someone that could be trying to weave this web of deception or trying to distract you, as we talked about here, from seeing something, because typically this is a blindfolded card. So don't lose your focus. Don't get caught up in someone else's drama. And if it doesn't feel right, you want to avoid this, or you want to shine a light on it and say, no, because, and all the things that we talked about. You've done your research, you maybe have a contract to point to, and maybe it just doesn't feel right because this is your instinct, this is your integrity, and this is counter to that. So there's someone or something that represents a block or a waste of time, or possibly this is working together with the moon and it's like, this is going to get me stuck. So don't take the bait, avoid the sort of misstep or the trap, because in the near future we have a nice card that's advancing you. Let's get from that to the Three of Cups when and if possible. The other thing to avoid here as we're looking at hopes, fears, and opportunities is something that doesn't feel right. We have the trickster, aka the devil. The devil can literally be a contract that someone is trying to get you to sign that is one-sided. It's going to be weighted towards them. It could be someone that is very good at coming forward and trying to show themselves in one way, but your gut, your instincts are saying, I don't think so. And so we have like a shapeshifter or a trickster. It's all avoidable, but there's a part of your sort of energy where you either feel sorry or maybe you think, maybe it won't matter. It will. Avoid this, and then by doing that, there's something to celebrate. We have the Three of Cups here. There could actually be a really exciting event on the horizon. Maybe someone is announcing something that's worth a celebration. It could be a graduation, a birth. You could be accomplishing something in your life. We want to get to that celebratory moment. The challenge here is kind of like hermiting energy. Three of Cups in reverse is antithetical to what you see here, the opposite of it. So sometimes there may be a lot of invitations and you're just feeling like, I don't want to do it. Someone is trying to put you in a more visible role, and there's a part of you that's pulling back and wondering, do I have what it takes? Yes, you do. The devil could be your own fears holding you back. The moon could be your own fears. This could be wanting to not be seen. But ultimately, what's coming forth before we even extend this forecast is you have the capacity to speak something into existence, to get people's attention. You can be empathetic, kind, and also very engaging by doing all of this. And that is going to lead you into a place where you're planted on solid ground and you have something to celebrate. Don't be afraid to ask for something. And speaking of shape-shifting, you really have a chance to move in a new direction this month. This stuff, it feels like it wants to fall away. There's a chance to step into something new. As we expand the forecast, we'll take a look and see where that new energy may be. Now we're going to move into health, wealth, love, and destiny. Like I said, I'm going to approach it slightly different, and then we're going to do 2 cards after that. All right, let me pull the cards. Health. Wealth. Love. And destiny. All right, for health, we have ancestral realm. Basically, we're talking about family here. It says karmic release, healing the lineage, boundaries. For some of you, this could be healing. We're going to go back to the traditional illustration of judgment. This can come through after the loss of someone or after a separation because it reads the same way energetically. When you divorce someone, when a friendship sort of dies down, it does process sometimes just like an actual loss of somebody. So there could be a grieving process going on for some of you, and this could be that turning point where you're starting to feel a sense of where you stand, what you need in this sort of aftermath, and also like what the future starts to look like. Now, when we're looking at this, it's also about healing some of the lineage. So let's say in your family, there's been challenges around health or finances, or maybe there's been things, because we have the devil card here, there could be addictions or things of that nature. We're starting to see that in your life, in your path, you're choosing differently. And you're starting to heal the energy just by making better choices in your life. And that's really what this is, a second chance. And that's why, as we look at the center card, the word forgiveness comes through. And we can see the phoenix here ready to rise up. Okay, so some beautiful energy there. Let's see if there's any high-level things that we need to focus on. It might be time to get the eyes or the ears checked since we have a blindfolded card here in the environment. At least traditionally, the illustration is blindfolded. The trickster is, and also the moon, it's just basically about being honest with yourself, being honest with others. If you have a doctor's appointment and something doesn't feel right, talk about it. If there's something that you need help letting go of in your life, an addiction, it's very interesting that we have a sticky card underneath this. You might need some support. And as we talked about earlier, this card here, the Eight of Wands, is about networking or leaning on that support. This is about asking for help, okay? If you're lifting anything heavy this month, take care of yourself. The Ten of Wands can show straining a muscle, especially if we look at this traditional illustration. Other things to be mindful of, throat chakra opening here, so you may have a sore throat or some seasonal allergies that are kind of affecting that part of your body. Again, get some help with a doctor if you're having allergies. The other thing that I'm looking at with the moon card here is around hydration. This can also be the reproductive system, so if anything isn't sort of functioning the way it normally should, now is the time for physicals, for checkups, etc. One final note, Three of Cups, it's all about moderation. So this is typically going to extremes. Easy does it. Let's now move on to the next category, which is wealth. So we have Archangel Michael coming through. The message on this is you are protected. The caption reads, "Thank you for surrounding me with your protection and your light." If you're not feeling that sense of being protected, when we're looking particularly at money and legal matters, now is a time to find an advocate where you feel like they have my back. So this is both affirmative and also, for some of you, might be a goal. I want to feel that sense of protection. Let's take a look now at those of you that have a traditional job. There's a few things to be mindful of. As we said earlier, don't get caught up in someone else's drama. Don't agree to do something that is either legitimately wrong or feels wrong. Avoid gossip as well. What are your strengths this month? Your ability to communicate, your ability to also learn and possibly pass on those learnings to others. This is a great time to go back to school, by the way. Don't take on more than you need to. The Ten of Wands, as we saw here, can represent just too much, right? And something needs to change if we go to the Judgment card. So you might be the one that sort of raises your hand and says there has to be a better way. I like your ability to take bigger groups and bring them together and possibly even overcome some of this. So it looks like you're actually in a good trajectory. Just protect yourself from this nonsense, whatever that might be. Rise above gossip, rise above any sort of tricky situation. For those that own their own company, your biggest asset this month is you've built something that is ready to be released, but there are some challenges. There are big financial changes going on in the world. So some of this, like the biggest strength that you might have right now is admitting that you can't see past a certain point. So you're going to have to start to focus on immediate opportunities, change things up a little bit. What used to work may not work now. There needs to be a conservative approach when you're dealing with contracts and customers. Where you used to be able to look out maybe, 3 years, it might be more like 3 months or 3 weeks. So making sure that you are able to underpromise and overdeliver. being conservative and then always trying to go above and beyond when possible. That's going to help you. If there's something difficult, if you made a mistake, speak up, address it earlier than later, get legal assistance if you need to. Overall, I do like that Eight of Pentacles is here, so I think as long as you are strategic, and again, you admit what you know and don't know, it's going to be good in the long run. For those of you that might be looking for a job, be mindful of the environment in which you might be hopping into here, because Eight of Swords can be a sticky sort of situation. The Moon and the Devil can be a place where morale isn't what it should be. The Trickster or the Devil could be a contract that is one-sided. Negotiate, make sure that it's fair, and then ask yourself too, is this a place I want to go to if they were trying to get me for a lower rate or trying to hide something beneath the surface? I don't think so, but I know sometimes there's not a lot of options in front of you. So if you have to negotiate, get a lawyer, make sure you understand everything, and then be careful, because that is an indication of the DNA of the place that you might be looking at. I think it's better right now to focus on entrepreneurial endeavors, school, and then finding environments that have that sense of community and collaboration. It is out there. Don't go for the one where maybe there's a little bit more pay, but it's not a great experience. So there's a couple of options. You have two aces, but you have to ask difficult questions, and you may not like what you hear in response, but trust that. When people reveal the true colors, you've got to just embrace that and say, you know what? I don't want to see it, but I'm glad I know. Okay? And moving on to students, right now, I think it's really important just to keep your mind on this, the Eight of Pentacles, learning. It looks like there's a lot going on. Some of you might have just changed majors, or you're thinking of doing that. In the long run, this looks great, but right now there's a lot going on, and I would say it's important not to get wrapped up in some of this. So there could be things like, again, a friend or a family member that's going through a lot. Know who you can help, know who you can't help. If you're going through a lot emotionally, lean on others for support. Generally speaking, if we look at this from the deep past to the near future and the outcome, it's all good. 10 of Wands, you'll complete what you set out to complete. 8 of Pentacles, exactly what I want for a student. 3 of Cups, celebration, graduation. Don't step into this sort of tricky territory here. And again, it feels like it's a friend or a family member that has too much on their plate, and they could basically become a distraction of sorts for you. Okay? Retirees. Some of you are looking at the living situation and wondering, if you're ready to sell. It's a tricky market right now. Literally, I think it's important to be strategic about that. This can be travel within your own city, state, country, or province. It doesn't have to be from border to border. So maybe you're thinking of like a day trip or some sort of vacation. Being able to connect with others, make new friendships, that's the thing to focus on. There could be things going on with your family, because we're going back to the sort of healing the familial stuff. This could also provide a distraction for you. Remember, you worked hard to get to this point. You can help people to a point, but you don't have to be the end all be all. Help people find the resources they need. And then when enough is enough, have those firm boundaries in place. Since we're already kind of getting into relationships, let's take a look at love next. In love, we have Loki, which is a trickster. He does have play there, which is good. We like the playful side. You kind of got both sides of the coin here. The 3 of Cups is the playful side. The Devil is the other side of Loki. So in relationships, things can kind of start off in a more playful place, but it could get serious. And when the serious stuff comes up, you have to take the good with the not so good. Let's break this down into 3 categories. If you're in an existing relationship, that's what I'm talking about. There could be something out of your control. It might be related to health. It could also be related to the job, some sort of change that's going on, and you feel like, I didn't anticipate this. What I like in this Moon card is everyone's standing together. You have each other's backs. That's hopefully what you can do. Don't keep secrets. They will see the light of day. It might be good to plan a trip or an outing together. The 3 of Cups is that sort of date night or frivolous and fun energy that, again, Loki is bringing in a positive direction. But you still have to do the work here. The positive stuff that I see is that you've actually built something that's worth protecting if you want to. We have at the center the key to success, which is forgiveness, but there could be something significant that has changed. New baby, new job, new location, something that kind of changed the whole scenery. talk, talk, talk. You've got to talk it out. Okay, if you're looking for love, I'm not certain that this is the perfect month to look for love because there's a little bit of inner work that needs to be done here. There could be someone that comes through that is attached, that isn't ready to commit. I do like the Queen of Swords here, though. She's outspoken. So there's someone very much like you. It could be another air sign, or it could just be someone that knows how to say what's on their mind. So we have one outspoken person here. We have someone else that might be attached. I think the important thing here is to take your time and really focus on healing, self-care. And for those that are single and happy, this is kind of leading towards you. This is a great time for education and personal development. It's a perfect time to step into something brand new, to find and reclaim your power and your voice. And in doing so, be able to make some new friends and enjoy life in general. All right, let's go to your Destiny card. We have here Spirit Guardian of Spring, and it's about activation. So I think that everything begins with two cards here. This is asking for something, and this is also communicating your vision, your idea. The two of these kind of unlock this happy card, the Ace of Cups in the background. But it is about deciding and discussing. Those things are really going to help you triangulate something into existence. Okay? We have two more cards, starting with the brand new one. What do you need to know? I do a lot of, sort of organization on this and try to do my best to look at everything, but what does Spirit want you to know right now? Let's see. So here's what you need to know in this moment in time. We have Page of Wands in reverse. Don't second guess yourself. Trust your instincts. Slow down long enough to ask yourself, does this align with my vision? Is this what I want? Because again, the pineal gland is right there, that little pine cone. So she's got the vision here. This page is questioning, hey, was this what I signed up for? If it isn't, it's time to pick a new path. If it is, then double down on your agreement to bring it to the next level. Find things in your life that inspire you. Page of Wands in particular, can get inspired by looking at a movie, reading a book, listening to a seminar, all the things that we would connect with the educational card of the Eight of Coins. All right, you get one more chance now to focus on something that you need. So this is the final question and card. It can be anything where you need a little bit more advice. Go ahead and formulate that question to Spirit, and let's see what the guides have to say. We have a great card coming forth here. As a yes or no, it's a yes, and you actually get how to make it happen, the power of people. So we have the Four of Wands, which basically represents core friendship and partnership. It can be a marriage or a favorable contract. It's a nice firm foundation upon which other things can be built. It's also setting a stage even before people come to, participate with you on your adventure. So even if you don't see what's in this, you just have the empty stage and everything ready, that's okay. Trust that if you build it, it will come, whatever it is you're seeking, but keep doing the work this month. The focus for many of you is going to be on enriching existing relationships or making room for a deeper connection with somebody in your life, okay? Could be someone new. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor, go ahead and like and subscribe. You can also give me a follow across social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all major platforms. On Blue Sky, it's nicholasashbaugh.com, and that's also my website. So if you need more information, you can go there. If you would like to give back in the form of a super sticker, super chat, super like, or a membership, my heart goes out to you. I couldn't do this without you. I've been doing more for members, actually, just to say thank you. So absolutely, now is the perfect time to join. Remember, I do not give any private readings, so be mindful of that. I don't use direct messages either. That's everything for this month and for today. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you're working on, how this resonated, and in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the best. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon.